Israel is celebrating 76 years of the declaration of the State of Israel. And raising the flag has been something our country in Canada we have done to commemorate this occasion. But this year, it's mired in controversy. Hello, I'm Adrienne Batra. With me are Lorrie Goldstein and Brian Lilley. It was 1948, of course, Lorrie, when the State of Israel was declared. And it has been a moment for celebration. It has been a moment for such a huge achievement in the world. But because of the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas, raising the flag to commemorate this occasion has become such a controversy that the mayor of Toronto said that she couldn't go, she couldn't attend because it's become such a divisive issue. We just went through this in Ottawa. What's your view?
Well, the reasons to me didn't make much sense. She said that it was divisive because there's conflict going on in the Mideast, and a lot of people have been protesting since October 7th. Okay, Israel was formed in 1948. The Day of Independence is May 14th. On May 15th, it was attacked by the combined armies of several Arab nations that wanted to drive the Jews into the sea. That happened again in 1960, in the Seven-Day War in 1967 and in 1973. There have also been two intifadas against Israel, decades of terrorism against Israel, 5 wars with Hamas. We're currently in the 5th one. So, there's always conflict in the Mideast, and a lot of it is aimed at Israel. So why this time is it that she can't possibly come? And the second thing was, Israel is a democracy, is a fellow democracy. And we stand with democracies, I thought, in the world. And to her to say that an Israeli a flag raising, which is not just done for Israel, it's done for all kinds of countries and municipalities. They get their, they get what's appropriate for global affairs, right? So it's done all the time. But the Israeli flag is divisive. Well, as Brian Lilley pointed out, and I'm sure he'll bring it up today. Well, then is every showing of the Palestinian flag divisive, particularly since there isn't a Palestinian state? And so, to me, that doesn't mean that by honoring the state of Israel that you're ignoring the suffering of the Palestinian people. Palestinian people have suffered from the day Israel was created. That's why they call it the Nakba, the catastrophe. But from the very beginning, I've never understood the argument that, okay, Hamas invaded, they caused the war. They have to return the hostages they're still holding. If that happens, then I think it's easy to work an agreement where there's at least a ceasefire or a truce, or heaven knows, the beginning of peace negotiations. But as you said, this becomes so and that's now an insane position, according to people who accuse people like me of being Zionist, whatever they call us. That's divisive.
Yeah. And I think that's wherein lies such a big part of this problem, Brian, is that Olivia Chow gets out there and says, well, I want to be the mayor for all of Torontonians, but we have a significant group of our community that are being targeted, being harassed just because they are Jewish. And so, we put it on our front page very plainly. She's made her choice. She has chosen the side.
So she didn't have to say that she wasn't going, because the mayor does not go to every flag raising. Even John Tory, a man who would show up for the opening of an envelope, did not go to every flag raising at City Hall. And as Lorrie mentioned, these are done for all kinds of countries. In fact, it is a courtesy flagpole at both City Hall and at Queen's Park where these things fly. And that flagpole exists just for these days. I went through the various days that have been recognized recently. The European Union, the African Union, the Netherlands, Ghana, Azerbaijan recently had their Flag Day. Azerbaijan is an autocratic country that scores a 7 out of 100 from Freedom House on how free the country is. There were no protests about Azerbaijan's flag going up. Well, how dare you? They jail dissidents. They do all these awful things. They repress minority rights. No, nobody said a thing. There were no news stories. There was no outcry. There is for Israel. And Chow, all she had to do was scheduling conflict, which is what she told the counselors, by the way. She told the counselors that she couldn't make it because of a scheduling conflict. Then she tells someone who had emailed her office to complain that this event was even happening, to say, hey, not only don't I choose the flags, but I'm not going because I find it divisive. Well, which is it? Is it that you have a scheduling conflict, or is it divisive? We know that a lot of the people who marched through the streets of Toronto carrying the Palestinian flag over the past several months are Olivia Chow's base, and she knows that. And that's why she did what she did and how she did it.
It's such a political move, Lorrie. They are thinking about the next election versus what so few of them have any moral clarity with respect to this issue. But we've come to have such low expectations of our elected officials that none of this should surprise us with respect, in particular, to Olivia Chow. But the city of Ottawa, you and I talked about it recently, they reversed their decision. They weren't going to do it at all. But then they ultimately did raise the flag, and good for them for doing so. But I just find that, at this particular moment, in this particular time, when we're seeing synagogues targeted, we're seeing Jewish schools being targeted, we're seeing the community as a whole. We're seeing now these campers across our universities not allowing Jews onto campus to go to school, to go to class, to teach. I would have hoped most of our political leaders would have had some semblance of clarity and said, enough. We stand, there's no hate tolerance in this country at all. I guess it doesn't account to Jews.
No, it's the, we know what side official Canada is choosing. I think it's political cowardice. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that there are 5 times as many Muslims in Canada as Jews, which doesn't mean all Jews and all Muslims have, there are Muslims who support Israel. There are Jews who want the Netanyahu government defeated and for the war to stop. And those are legitimate positions. But, over and over again, the police are saying, yes, there's both discrimination and racism against Palestinians and Jews, but the stuff against Jews has exploded. It's at unprecedented levels. It's more than doubled. And this is a community that feels under siege. And I know it feels under siege because I'm part of it. I don't feel under siege, but I talk to all kinds of people. And what is lacking, you don't have to say you endorse Israel. You don't have to say you endorse the death of Palestinians, but you have to say unequivocally that hatred against Jews for any reason, including their views on the war, because they don't set policy, right? You have to say unequivocally that is not on. Because I don't see, frankly, my community running around saying all Muslims are terrorists. I've never said that.
That's right.
And I would expect, for examples of that happening, I would expect our leaders to be just as forceful. That is not on. That is Islamophobia. And we will, take measures to stop it. But basically, I think this is a watershed in Canada. I think Jew hatred's been normalized. And I think I've seen a level of insecurity in the Jewish community I haven't seen in decades. And that's where we are.
And final points to you, thoughts to you, Brian. To Lorrie's point, it's not like you see the campers that are out there on the campuses holding up signs, "Bring home the hostages, bring them home now." You never see any of that. Last word.
So that's been my big problem since October 9th. October 9th was the first so-called pro-Palestinian protest that I've covered. And it gathered in Nathan Phillips Square, marched up Bay Street, all through downtown. I've been outside the Israeli consulate at Yonah Bloor. I just ran across a bunch of pro-Palestinian protesters when I was in Edinburgh in Scotland. And it's always the same. Denounce Israel, wave the Palestinian flag, no calls for Hamas to accept a ceasefire, no calls for Hamas to stop using Gazan civilians as human shields, no calls for them to release the hostages. That's why I long ago said, look, these are pro-Hamas demonstrations. They're not pro-Palestinian.
Yeah.
They are repeating the talking points of the terrorist organization that controls Gaza and oppresses the people of Gaza. If you're doing that, then you are pro-Hamas. I would have more respect for the campers, at U of T, at McGill, if they were calling out both sides. If they were actually calling for peace, they would be calling out both sides. They are not.
Well, let us know what you think in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and go to thetorontosun.com. You're going to find commentary and coverage there you'll not find anywhere else.